mine.
You have to use the city as email address.
Yeah.
Chris,
Hello, how are you?
I can't complain. How's it going?
Chilly, but fine.
Mr. Manager, you know what I'm
You know Tim Bruce?
Big money, big money.
Tim's our vice president.
Tight. Y'all drinking Christmas?
See, it's a season, y'all.
I'm nice.
Yeah, Lisa, can we use the internet? Like if Commissioner said we want to pull up something off the internet? Yeah, I think so. To me, yeah. Yeah. And then that'll be. Yeah, you will work with the commission to get the price. So just basically say, the committee will give this to the clerk on the top two names. Then they wrote it up and down. Hopefully if they wrote it down, we gotta go back to the process. So, I don't know how that's gonna look. But that, you know, that can happen. No, he won't hear.
His people are changing to the opposite. Let's see, could you just keep going? Oh,
Yeah, I see that.
Come here, y'all. I don't know what I'm doing. It's hard.
You gotta talk to them online.
I try. But when y'all don't see me at some of the meetings,
Which we have.
I'm nice to meet. But it's fair, but they have.
Okay, yeah.
It's real good.
Pressure.
Pressure.
Lisa did everything. Lisa, I did. You know, I'm not computer and IT. It's not coming up. Text Clark. You may be in the building. I have handouts of the presentation too. I have presentation.
You got the two.
Okay.
Oh, the resume.
You want the screen down?
If I can get this out.
Solid waste collection.
Just do the presentation.
Typically, we talk about it.
Yeah, that's how they do that.
Right.
So then there's lots of planning for it.
Right.
So just do the first statement and planning for it.
Well, yeah, we can get
You ready? All right. Personnel Finance Committee is in order.
Yes.
First thing on agenda is maintenance. So I got a handout.
I passed out.
Make sure Commissioner Henry get one.
See how many times.
Thank you, sir.
I know I got it.
Just give me, make sure Mr. Duncan get a handout.
Thanks for
I had Mr. Duncan.
Do we have a Santa Claus hat, Mr. Duncan? Yeah, y'all gotta ask for Santa Claus, red hat.
No.
I don't know about that. I didn't get it.
I got a yellow cat on.
Well, you got
Okay,
this.
So we got the.
Who is it? Who then join us to the team?
Water meter, board.
Then? Oh, okay.
Well, I did,
Presentation, I think it's around WD on your.
anyway, on the matrix,
When you do?
what we talked about, I see that, city manager, that we had, exceeded our, I seen the email, that we exceeded our revenue because of the 800,000 expenditures related to income tax.
Exceeded your revenue?
Yeah, that's what the, the email she sent, and the major roads had expenditures higher than the revenue due to expenses due to date of 232,000 related to the Paw project. Now, that project is finished, right? I understand. The Paw
It's complete.
and
Beg your pardon? I was trying to hear what you were saying.
the Paw project is complete. One more thing I have to say. The utility fund expenditures are also higher than the revenue due to capital expenditures for grant-related projects. And the PPI fund also had expenditures higher than revenue due to the fire station window and door project. So, did Miss Commissioner Adams get a handout? Mr. Adams, would you like to?
I really would,
Yeah.
but I want to address what
Okay.
you just brought up.
Okay.
And it was an email that I found very disturbing.
Oh.
I'm not sure if I fully understand and I want a better understanding about it, and I'm very upset because there's nobody here from finances to do that. I'm hoping that you will amend your agenda here and add a RFP to go out for a finance director, because we can't keep operating like this. We need somebody here that answers some questions for us.
Right.
We pay them too much money for somebody not to be here to give us answers that we need.
Commissioner, can I ask, if you have a problem, don't wait till the meeting.
I know, we just got this email.
Okay,
And I'm upset because of what I read, and my understanding of it were questions that I asked Ms. Hillenbrand a couple of weeks ago.
What was it that you're talking about?
The email that Commissioner Isom just made mention of, there were several items. Yeah,
What do you mean?
Are you talking
Come
about
on,
the
what I just read, the metrics report about.
there was an email that Ms. Hillenbrand sent out, and it had this attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to go over the metrics itself,
Or just about the road.
but I just think that it would be good for us, and our understanding, if someone from finances that takes care of our finances, that we are over to be here to explain to us the things that we need explained before we find ourselves in.
Thank you.
How you doing, Mr. Cook?
City manager.
I'm trying to find out exactly what is the concern, so I can.
The concern about the mention of those projects as well as some others that were listed within that email.
I want to know specifically what your concerns are, see if I
The
can
whole
answer.
email was all about concern. I can't pull it up on my phone because I don't have the city email.
Mr. Henry.
Whatever it is, I didn't get the email because I'm locked out. But whatever the email is concerning, there's one thing that is a fact. that the charter says we get a financial director.
Right.
That don't change, because we have different thoughts about it. The charter said that is what we should have. And from my perspective, being one of the oldest elected official here,
Mhm.
it works when you have staff to help you. And if Plant Moran or whoever we're paying a lot of money to can't perform by being here for us or answering questions as a department head should, then I wanna see us with what we deserve, a financial director. And if it's a RFP,
Yeah, we check on that.
we can do
Do
it,
that.
we can do it.
We'll make sure the RFP is still out there. I'm sure it should be. RFP out for
Let me,
the city manager.
again, commissioners, please, if you have an issue with something, I'm not debating anything about the finance director, but if you have an issue about something, call us. We don't want to do this here. We don't need to wait to get to a meeting. We can answer your questions anytime during the day. And if it's something that you ask, we don't have an answer, we'll get the answer for you.
Okay, this looks sabotaging to me. City manager, please come here. Hold on, Commissioner Ison, please. What, look at this.
All I say is, we shouldn't have to ask. Those are things that's ours and belong to us. And if we say we want, I don't care if we say it in private or say it out in public, because the charter is ours. And the charter said we should have it. And like I said, it's better to have a staff that's to working for our agenda than to have staff that we can't connect with. And it is not about asking questions, it's about what the charter said.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think we do have an RFP out for that position.
No, we don't.
The commission, if I'm not mistaken, if I am, you can correct me, the commission approved for one, I think before the last one, say manager level. But that's all I know. I don't know if anything was issued out or not.
Prior to.
Mr. Mitchell, yeah.
Visit that and
We
put
need
it
a
back
special
out
meeting
there.
to do it.
It was already approved.
Then it needs to be moved.
Mm-hmm. Right. Any more questions? All right, next thing on the agenda, resolution payment to the county clerk's office for the 11/5/19 general election.
This is a routine resolution. It's a payment, request for a payment to the Berrien County Clerk's Office in the amount of $3,684.65 for the coding of the automark and ballot, printing and canvas fees from the November 5th, 2019 general election. Funds for this expenditure are located in the operating supplies and professional services line item within the city clerk's budget. And again, it's an amount of $3,684.65.
Since this is moved out. Next one, we have personnel update.
We currently have one opening available for a position hire, which is a part-time general labor position in the water plant department. And we also still interviewing for the co-compliance officer. I also wanted to discuss the city commission workshop that took place on the 11th.
Yeah.
Wanted to see when the next time another workshop should be planned, or the retreat, or how are we gonna move forward with this. I believe the the notes from the facilitator was emailed to all the commissioners.
Yes.
And it
You
was
got hard-
handed
hard
out,
copies too,
it was handed out also Monday night. It was on your desk.
Yes, the workshop was real educational and learning experience. I know we have this workshop in, I think, it's coming up in February. Did you see the email from the mayor that went out? It's,
The workshop that's being put on by Michigan Municipal.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I think if we go to that, I think another workshop here would be good.
Well, that's a different workshop, but that they're putting on.
I'm saying, it'll be
But, it would be very nice if all of you attend that.
yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I hope everybody get the email.
And I sent an email out telling you all to let us know and we'd make the accommodations. You didn't get that, did you?
You know I didn't get it, don't even try.
That's for municipality.
Michigan Municipal League.
Oh,
It's in February.
February 28th.
Something like that.
So let me know and we'll make the arrangements.
who would be responsible for
Yeah,
making
come on.
those arrangements?
He just told you.
You personally?
No.
Okay, I'm just asking because we've had something on the back burner that I made mention of the other night. And, I'm ready to travel, and especially now that Benton Harbor has a new school principal as well as a superintendent. And we need these partnerships to come together to educate these young adults that's in the community as well as our youth, to get some training going on. And, Banco with, the Arts and Cultural Center, we're about to start working with this, organization to try and turn that into a hub, like they did in Newark with the church. That, I mean, I just happened to hear the young man speak, Mr. Holmes, I think his name was. Yeah, I think,
Who are you talking about?
the superintendent,
Towns.
Townsend, okay. Holmes was the principal, okay, I got them mixed up, but they both have a wonderful mission and agenda for the youth in our community, and training. It's just been, we've talked about it for years, and now it's time for us to stop talking and be about it. And we can turn that into some type of retreat as well, I mean, because at some point we have to eat, and it's just a tour of the facility. And it's paid for, it's not something that the city has to pay for out of its general fund, because the Brownfield Authority is taking care of it. 4 commissioners and 4, Brownfield Authority board members.
Which meeting is this, I'm sorry?
The meetings have taken place for years. Now it's time to act and move. It's going out to Pittsburgh to tour Manchester Beardwell Arts and Training Technology Center.
Oh,
And I haven't heard anything from
you have the
but one
information?
commissioner that wanted to go, and anybody else that wants to go is more than welcome. I mean,
Do you have the information on the?
I'm sorry.
Do you have the information on the train?
Yes,
I have not seen it.
I'll send it to you. Darwin's had it for probably years, but I forgot. I'll send it to you.
Oh, so what's the next step for the workshop?
Oh, I guess we gotta come together and make a date for sometime in January, maybe?
Well, it's up to you, the commission, but, you need to talk about it and decide when you want to do it.
Yeah.
That was the challenge left from that session that we had last week.
And we're the facilitator, Miss
She, Marilyn,
Marilyn,
was the facilitator.
she'll be back to the.
middle of next month, end of next month,
Whenever you,
We'll come along.
for her, for a small one.
for all of them.
We gotta pin down a date, because, you know, I guess there's
That's
some folks said Saturday might work best, some said a Monday night,
Man,
like we
We'll-
did before, or something, so,
see, I'm a beautician, I had to pay.
so we have to figure out, I guess, what date is gonna work for everybody.
I hope you said dates.
Date.
Well, I think the Mondays, cause most of us know we got 2 Mondays
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
to take care of business, but the other 2 Mondays are blank, so if you set it way in advance, we might be able to pull us all night, all of us together.
A Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
I don't know where she getting that Sunday, Monday.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Y'all call it 3 days? What we
Okay,
need to do?
we'll come up with a date. Thank you
I don't
for
know if
that.
I can take all y'all.
I
You don't
would-
work, so. No.
Where you be? No.
Yeah, city
Okay.
manager,
We'll get an email out to all of you.
yes.
I guess that's why you always.
And also, since I missed the last city income tax committee meeting, I want to just give an update.
Okay. Point of order, please.
For the city income tax, so far today, we have processed a total of 2,761 returns. We've collected $1,475,520.79 in withholding from employers for the employee for this year. So we've refunded a total of $138,687.60 to residents and non-residents. We're currently processing corporate returns and extensions and getting prepared for next year. As far as the street project, so far we have spent from the city income tax $752,106.44.
So the balance is,
From the account, I don't have a balance per se, I didn't run that report. Because it's hard to give a running balance, because especially like the withholdings that we took in for this year, we won't know the true number until next year when returns come in, because there'll be refunds again and things of that sort.
so, this year's expenditures are already done, so it's, because.
I think we have more invoices coming in from the street projects, but thus far, the only invoices that we have was 752,000, correct? But I'm pretty sure we're gonna get some more that's coming in.
So we had kind of like allocated like 9 or something.
Yeah, it was close to $1 million.
Yeah.
Did you send that information to? That's it.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Next, we have a presentation, water and sewer projects to be funded by EFA.
Hello there. So I have some good news to share with you.
Okay.
I probably have about 15 minutes of presentation,
Okay.
just to warn you. You
Okay.
should have these packets.
Yeah.
Yep. So on that first page is a little background
Mhm.
after the cover. And basically, we went through 3 reports over the last several years since 2014. We had a stormwater and wastewater asset management plan, also known as the SAW. So that was a large grant the city got to study the sewer system. We also completed a water reliability study and a water asset management plan. We pulled those all together and we're able to look at the entire city and its needs to address sewer and water issues. The assets, in this case, the sewer and water lines, and also the water tower and water treatment plant were evaluated based on their probability of failure, which is basically how old they are and what condition they're in, along with a consequence of failure, which would be if something were to fail, how catastrophic would it be? Take out a large street, take out some homes, that sort of thing came into play. So that allowed us to prioritize projects. We got all that together, and then you might recall that in the spring, we addressed you with an application for both sewer and water funding through Eagle. We had public hearings, submitted the applications, and looked for some outside funding assistance for those. The next page outlines the funding assistance process that was followed. We applied for some low interest loans, again, through the Eagle for drinking water and what they term clean water, which is the sanitary sewers. The loans fund for the sewer work, the sanitary sewer replacement, the roadway, sidewalks, etc. Water lines similarly through the DWRF are replaced along with the services, some of them being lead services that get replaced all the way to the home. And then those two funding arrangements don't fund some of the roadway or the drainage work that gets done. So that's part of the local share. The pie gets split up in that the drinking water revolving fund pays for a little over 30% of the project. The sewer fund about 35% of the project, and then those local street funds fund the remaining about 34%. So after as part of the application process, Eagle looked at a new streamlined approach. It's a streamlined approach that we actually helped them write to make it less burdensome on communities to prepare these applications. Normally the costs of those and time frames of those would be very extensive and exhaustive, putting communities in a position where they may not be able to apply just because of the upfront costs. So I was actually on a committee with Eagle to help them redraft their rules. Since we had that relationship with them, they allowed Benton Harbor to be one of the first to apply under this streamlined approach that's been adopted. Saved the city about $100,000 in costs, and it also expedited the process. So we were able to get those studies turned around and applied for funding help right away. The review process that occurs for Eagle for both water and sewer is pretty exhaustive. They look at a number of factors and score the projects based upon those factors. Benton Harbor scored #1 for new water main projects that were submitted. They also rated in the top third for the sewer projects. So we rated very highly, and the good news is we got funded. The other really good news is that the city will receive loan forgiveness, or basically a grant, to the tune of $1.4 million. So that's free money. The rest would be low interest loan that you get to pay over 30 years. Okay, so just a little bit of, again, history about the need for the project. The infrastructure here dates back to the early 1900s. So we're going on 100 years plus for some of the water and sewer that's in place. So obviously that's served its useful life. That means there's a high probability of failure. So back to that criteria. That is what we used as a principal factor for selecting the projects. And we also wanted to then make sure that if we had a sewer project in this case, I'll just reference Pipestone Road, that lined up with a water project, and they both had high scores on that probability or consequence of failure, that we bundled them together and looked for efficiency to do them both together at once. We certainly don't want to replace a water line one year and have to come back and tear it up to do a sewer line later. So really look for efficiency in these projects. And so that is how the projects were selected, along with some water tower work that's been needing to be done for several years as well. So the project locations that were selected and applied for, again, this was part of the public hearing. It's a little bit of history, but just wanted to clarify this, is a segment of Pipestone from Main to Vineyard, and then also a segment of Michigan, Wall, and Highland Avenues, kind of around city center to over to Jefferson. A couple blocks of Vineyard from Pipestone to the east. That's project 1C. And then Maple Street from Pipestone to Cedar. So you can see that those were bundled together in a particular geographic area to get efficiency. Then we also looked at the Highland area from Hull to Fair, and also a little piece of Nowlin from Cass to Highland, along with Benton Street from Territorial to Highland, and Territorial from Winans to Sealy. So again, bundling that project together as well. That will help remedy some very significant issues with a main interceptor that runs through there that needs replacement. The next project would be along Stevens Street. Stevens Street doesn't serve a lot of customers, but Stevens Street has had some ongoing drainage issues that have been plaguing us for several years, and this was our opportunity to find some funding to help get that done. And then lastly is some water tower work at Britton and 8th Street. So you can see those depicted on the map. To show you the other benefit of the location of these projects, as we look at the Pipestone project, the area that's in purple there is the service area that runs through those lines. So you can see it's a very large area that spans all the way to the South City limits. And the idea there is to prepare ourselves for the work upstream as we go, but to get the downstream sewers in good condition so that they can handle that in the future. And so a lot of residents will be benefited by doing this project because of the size of that service area. Similarly, on the next page, Benton Street project, as we're calling it, serves a nice large slice of the center eastern part of town as well, and again addresses that major interceptor that needs some work. So again, many customers are benefited by that project on the lower end of that district. So that kind of gives you some idea of the process for approval of the funds, why these projects were needed. Now that we've been awarded these funds, the schedule is tight. So that's outlined on the next page. Essentially, what Eagle will require is that we work through a draft rate methodology that outlines any rate adjustments that may be necessary to fund the debt. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Then we go through and prepare the plans and specifications for contractors to do the work. Those drafts are due in March. March is right around the corner to do this magnitude of project. We're talking about a total of close to $15 million worth of work to be done in the city. That's going to take some time to get these plans ready to go. Then we work through the final rate methodology, final plans and specs. There's an environmental assessment that's done by Eagle to make sure that there are no negative impacts of the project. But essentially, we work through those through the spring, and then those final plans and specs are ready for bidders in May. And then we go through the bidding process the latter half of May and into June of 2020, awarding contracts in July. And then the work would likely then span from August 1st-ish through the end of 2020, all the way through 2021. This is a significant project, and so it would likely take close to 18 months to complete. So what we would request for you to move forward to the commission would be to allow the city manager to execute a fixed date schedule, it's called, that Eagle requires. And that fixed date schedule looks a lot like the one on that page as far as the dates go. To move forward with the engineering and financing agreements with Eagle as well. And so that we can get started on this and get it designed up and get it ready for bids. So that is our hope that we can do to move forward. On the last page is the financing summary. So again, total project cost is just over $14.5 million. The water work is about 4.4, almost 4.5 million of that. You can see there that the loan forgiveness is in red. So we got $400,000 grant for the water work. And so therefore the debt on that work would be about $15,000 a month. So that is a pretty small price to pay to get that amount of work done, for sure. The water work is about $5 million. We're able to qualify for loan forgiveness there of over $1 million. So 20% of that project is funded out of grant funds, and the expected monthly debt is very similar for the water as it is for the sewer, $15,650. So the local share that would remain could also be financed. It's a similar amount of money over a similar duration, so it would carry a similar $15,000-ish per month cost. But in talking with finance, there's a balance on the major local street fund of about $900,000 right now. And so the city has saved that money for such an instance as this. And the major street fund provides about $500,000 a year towards, that could be put towards this project. So those street funds could essentially pay for the entirety of the project. Now, those street funds are not to be confused with the income tax funds. Those are separate. So those could still go towards doing the road work that we've outlined in the rest of the city while we focus on these utility issues where they're most needed. So that's what, that's the good news that we have for now is funding in place to help get this work done. If we don't move on this now, we stand to lose the loan forgiveness grant portion of the $1.5 million. So certainly that would be significant impetus to try to move on this and get this work done while we can, while the funding environment is to our favor. So I'm certainly available to answer any questions that you all might have as well.
All right, thank you. The repairing of the streets now, when the streets are, I know you gotta go down and rip the streets apart and all that. Now, you will, that's part of the repairing too, right? Part of the job to go back and repave the street that's in this.
Sure. So the work that is being proposed is wholesale. So the deepest utility is the sanitary sewer. We go down, tear that out, put in new. Then we put in storm sewer and water main on different sides of the road. So by now we've torn up the entire street. We will also have to replace services. So where there's sidewalk, we will replace sidewalk, new curb and gutter, new road, new grass. From right-of-way edge to right-of-way edge, it's all new.
It's all in one project, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Adams.
Let me just
City
ask,
manager.
let me just ask on kind of piggyback with what you're asking. I believe you're asking if the streets that have just been completed are gonna be torn up.
Oh,
That's what it sounds
Well,
like.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure some of them.
And what we're doing is making sure that where there are problems like that, those problems are done before the streets are done.
yeah, that was the question. We purposely did not choose any of these roads with this year's, past year's street project. So we won't be going and undoing what we just did.
Commissioner,
Yeah, that's kind of funny to me because that was the main thing that was brought up and discussed before the street started being worked on. But back to this right here. What type of bond is it that it would take? And what type of bond and where does a bond, what type of bond does the city possess or hold? Is it our assets? Is City Hall a bond itself?
What it would be is a revenue bond. And so the revenue bond is based on the income that comes on your water bills and or your street funds.
Okay.
So that cash flow pays the bond down.
Okay, now, my next question would be, is it possible to work in correspondence, there's gotta be a way to work in correspondence to where this cost could be less effective on us and our general fund or the loan itself or whatever, now that we have possession of a city income tax to help incur some of the costs of this overall project?
So the program, as it's designed, would not use any general funds.
I'm sorry,
This would not use general funds. It would
okay,
use the enterprise funds that are in the water and sewer department.
okay,
and
so
street.
this, the whole project is being taken care of by grant dollars?
Grant and loan.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about, the loan
The
part.
loan gets paid back though with water, sewer, and street funds, not general funds.
Okay, but those are monies that are captured that come into our general fund that utilize for things like this.
It's semantics a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not general
And I
fund.
don't wanna get into all
Right.
that, yeah. But it's kind of scary to me when I heard you describe it, then I'm looking at this, and it just took me back to the largest portion of the debt that the city holds with, that water plant.
Mhm.
Where, a lot of residents were deprived of jobs. That was a really bad deal, and if I could ask, now that we are under new management, or about to be, or what have you, just for listening ears, is there something that we can do to write a letter, since we still just trying to get up on our feet financially, and especially with the email that we were discussing earlier that I won't make mention of, but just so that we are in good standing and can make our payroll with our employees and everything, if we could send that letter to the federal government and ask for a longer period of time to renegotiate that contract and expand it out a little further, now that we're a growing city, that we can have those payments maybe lowered so that we can do something or more of some things for the city residents. Because as of right now, when it was initially brought out or given from the city emergency manager, they took the community benefit grant dollars, not grant dollars, donation that was for the people of the community and put it towards another cause of a different type of effect with the pension fund of the cities that has increased to 300,000 from the 2 that we were given. And all of that money is being utilized somewhere else. I guess what I'm asking is, can we look at a way that we can do something 2020 with better vision for the people in this community? I mean, this is a must. We've been talking about and campaigning about the over 100-year-old infrastructure since it was public. And I guess the time is upon us, but if we can, in our negotiation, take it out a ways, because if growth especially with this $500 million development that's increasingly steadily growing, and our tax base is increasing, that we can be able to make those payments and do some other things. That's all I ask.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you, Mr. Cook, could you explain the water tower, what kind of work will be done on the water tower?
Yeah, so, we've got some painting and, I had that on one of these pages. There's a little bit of structural work, access to the tower itself, some regular, there's systematic painting that needs to be done on the water tower that's been unable to be done given the finances for several years. There was a report prepared by Dixon Engineering about 5 to 7 years ago, Mike probably knows, that outlined a first step of things to do, and those are still out there as tasks to be done. So that's about $500,000 worth of work in total.
It can run to its top efficiency with this work.
It's not really so much a matter of efficiency as it is just some of these structural maintenance type issues that need to be done.
Same.
Yeah, Mr. Cook, you said some paying back some of the loan money is going to actually be kind of tied to what we collect in revenues. On that though, and I don't know, I was looking at the different areas of the projects. At one point we asked what it would cost to get water out to some of the areas that we have some heavy use customers that we lost because of the emergency managers selling the pipelines or something. Just like out at Territorial, it's going to be a heavy use out with the overall Rico spot. We got customers, ex-customers, should be our customers at the Koji Village, the airport, those areas. So when we look at putting down pipes and stuff, we never really got a real cost of what it's going to take to get water back to those locations. That would also help with some of the revenue if we could get those customers back that belong to us.
It would. The expectation with something of that nature would be that those customers would at least pay for the line to be extended.
Yeah.
And that'd be over some time likely, so that'd be sort of maybe a different sort of bond to get those large scale construction projects done, with the idea that you then have a long-term source of revenue.
I guess at some point that between the staff and our engineer, we get some numbers on what it would cost to get those areas back online.
What we're looking at right now is trying to take care of some infrastructure that is failing, close to failing in some large areas. What we're doing, and I told you earlier, but to make sure you understand, we're meeting every 2 weeks at Marsh, Public Works, Water, and Finance, and going over each of these projects. We're getting them in an order where you can know where they are, you know what they are, where they are. Finance is making sure that we know where the money is coming from to cover. These are the things that you won't have to guess about. You know what's happening in the city. And nothing gets signed off until it is done and is approved by staff that it has been done.
Mr. Henry.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to remind the chair and staff and citizens that we have a resolution that's been on the books for a long time about jobs for our people. And this is another project that's really taking money from our people. And there is a resolution for 25% self-work. And I like to make sure that it's included in this project, in any other project. And that we hold everyone accountable to make it happen. There is nothing to spank your hands for if you don't do it.
Mhm.
But I'm hoping that Commissioner, through our legislative, we can change that, because you don't do it unless you have some consequences to pay. So, but I would definitely suggest that we look at providing some jobs for our people through subcontracting or whatever it is that we can do.
We were able to do that on the street project this summer, and it worked out pretty nicely.
Well, I like to see the documentation on all of that. It's great things to blow your horn about, and great opportunities for us to build on trust and partnership. So I like to see that information.
It was reported to the commission.
I like to see that information. Thank
You'll
you.
get to see it again.
Thank you. Mr. Adams.
Just to add, just quickly before you move forward, to piggyback off of what Commissioner Singleton stated,
Mhm.
in the midst of getting or gathering that other information of costs that it would take for reconnecting back to our water customers that we've lost, like the airport, Kojic. And you mentioned the El Rico property. And after reading our charter, that's the way it's supposed to be. Any properties that they're supposed to be, Benton Harbor is supposed to service their own property. That includes the enterprise zone of all of those businesses out there. Am I right? I'm just, I thought you were familiar with, through the chair, the charter. If we could start actually looking at that and regaining our customers.
Thank you. Move it forward. Consensus. Thank you, Mr. Cook.
Thank you.
Next, we have a discussion, commission stipends. Mr. Henry wanted to add this to discuss again stipends, city stipends. Scholarly.
So I did speak with Rhonda in regards to the commission stipends. It was brought that the commission, instead of wanting their stipends going through a 1099 to be on W-2s, correct? So we can do that. What Ms. Hedderbrand stated is that we can do it starting the end of this year. So instead of the commission receiving the 1099, you will receive a W-2 form. But starting January, you will know that like all the taxes and things will be deducted out of your check. So she did want to emphasize that, as well as that a W-4 form needs to be filled out from all of the commissioners in order for that to take place. And if that's doable, you can go to full commission for a vote, and we can go ahead and do that for the end of this year.
So you were saying that the 2019
Correct.
would go on a
W-2 instead of 1099.
I got one.
Come on, talk. Come on.
Get consensus.
But-
Machine?
I got one on my phone.
Go ahead, scholarly.
For that, when you do receive the W-2 form, no taxes was taken out none this year. So just be, you just have to be aware of that when you do file your taxes, you will have to pay taxes on that money that you did earn.
Oh, okay.
But starting 2020, it will automatically be taken out each credit period.
Says state and federal.
State, federal, and local.
Would it be easier just to start in 2020 or?
And that's your decision. That's your
Instead
decision.
of going
What was the
back.
question?
Yeah.
For
What
the,
was the question through the chair?
My question? Oh, I said I think it would be easier to start in 2020, because
Yeah.
this tax year is already gone, so, you start out in 2020 and it'll be taken out the
Trump
taxes.
ain't
So
paying
get
her
everybody, get that money. Don't let nobody else do it. Just
2020.
let them off the hook way up. Y'all too nice, man.
So did I,
That's just too
So-
nice.
did I understand her to say that Ms. Hildebrand said that to put it in place for 2020, we need to start today. Now, did I miss that? I mean, soon.
so it's, two things. What she stated was that for 2019, at the end of the year, you normally receive a 1099. What we could do is give all the commissioners a W-2 form. However, when you do file your taxes, you would still have to pay taxes on the money earned, which federal, state, and local. What Commissioner Singleton stated is that for this year, since 2019 is almost over, to just go ahead and receive a 1099 form and start the W-2, like regular pay, starting 2020. So therefore, every time you get paid, your taxes will automatically be taken out.
Okay, I see that. But I'm only gonna speak from my own experience. That every 1099 costs me money to do a schedule just for the 1099. And yeah, there's no taxes taken out, so we have to make adjustments when we're doing the taxes. But to put us on for this year, we still gotta pay our taxes, but it allows her to already be ready for the 2000. It's gonna save us a lot of money. When you think about it. I don't know who do your taxes, but if H&R Block do it, they gonna carry a piece of hoom.
I do mine myself.
Oh, you do yours yourself, okay, but you still have to do two, I mean, if you do it like me, I get 3 1099. And I have to pay for every one of them as a different schedule, Schedule C.
I think
Now, I don't know, and I heard about the mayor was in the same predicament, so,
who do your taxes? I mean, you have H&R do it? Yeah, they're gonna charge you for.
well, I mean, yeah, the last time they really told me off one.
You should get
No, I don't wanna hear about that. I wanna hear,
it's a software call.
can we solve this problem? Because this is the first step of doing better things for the commission. We all know that this is a hard job for the ones that work. Everybody don't do nothing, and they should get paid by the hour or by the piece. But the ones that work, you notice is we're dedicated, we're here, and it's other things that we could do from this first step. We're now going to be employees of the city of Benton. It's a lot of things that other municipalities do for their elected officials. So as we progress and do things more for the people, we should be rewarded.
Let me ask you this question. I don't know if you can answer this. What about on an individual basis for this year? Next year they all go, or I don't know. I think either all have to go, or
Yes, to keep it clean, it's either all the commissioners or not.
Yeah. Nothing to be voted on, everybody. And look, should it be a raise in there? Should it be a raise in there? Them little dollars add up.
You on the piece work too.
Well,
I'm messing with you.
Seriously,
It really.
if fiber takes out one acre
Right
man,
on.
it's,
I don't pay for it.
I'll hurt you myself in peace.
Okay, now, come on, cause this the most important part now. You gonna do a report on that thing?
So this year it'd be.
That one right there is worth, that one right there is worth research.
All right, next we have on the agenda, city manager's position. The Personnel Finance Committee, we came up with a hiring process that will, you got 10 resumes has been submitted and circulated through to the mayor and commissioners. And we had asked, as the Personnel Finance Committee, to pick the top 2 candidates that each commissioner selects. And we'll get consensus and report that to the clerk. City manager.
What you saying?
He can't, there's conflict, he can't.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes, I would,
yes. Well, take your time.
the city manager position. Okay, is there a timeline that we need to get those to the city clerk?
I'd like to have it back as soon as possible.
ASAP?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yesterday.
are we going to try to, because if I was in New Jersey and I'm thinking about coming to Ben Harbor, Manor City, and
Right.
I got an appointed time set up for an interview,
Mhm.
and with it being so close to a new year, I would love to know that I'm going into the new year with a new job.
Right.
So I guess what I'm asking is, are we going to do this expediently or after the new year?
Mr. Henry said we don't want to kick the can.
Me either, my feet
So,
hurt.
we want to, we didn't held it up long enough. So I'm sure it'll be next year, with the holidays
Okay,
coming up.
so,
it'll
I
be
mean, the
early next-
interviews
yeah.
themselves?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll get that to the city or ASAP.
Yeah, then we'll forward them to
Okay.
the top 2 to the
Okay.
clerk.
So send it to you?
It's the Personnel Finance Committee.
Oh,
Cheers.
Yeah.
Is there a different
yes.
email or something for that?
No. Commissioner Henry.
Is it anything that you wanna share with the rest of us that's sitting out here?
You want the names of the 10? You want to see?
Yeah.
I'm just asking you, cause
What you want
but
to
when you change and go into a new direction, you have to do things different.
Right, I hear you.
And so I was hoping that you had something to prepare to show the, citizens, even if it's nothing but the RFP, what we're looking for in a city manager.
So,
Point of order, please.
I mean, I'm just saying,
So-
we need to do things better.
Right.
And
That's
what
we
we
want
do-
to do. Be
yeah.
transparent.
And so you
You have a presentation, you saying, right there? We
Well,
got something?
well, I did ask staff if they could get something together, but it looks like
You need to
this
screen up.
thing here is not working. It's not working.
But can you tell us something? You can you read it? Or
No. Oh, it's on, Ms. Galladay.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Need a screen down?
It was down, but it's asking for the password. I know I didn't, because my emails are not working for me, I would like to, verbally tell you the ones that I, really wanna consider talking to.
Not now.
No, no,
Okay,
not now.
you're talking about- okay.
But I just want the citizens to know what we're doing, and so we can be transparent
Mhm.
in everything, and surely enough, if they don't agree with us or they agree with us, then they need to touch us and say, you're my elected officials and I agree or disagree.
Appreciate
And I know our city, resident,
Yeah.
rep didn't get the information.
Mhm.
Truly, he's part of this committee, and
Right.
anytime that we do something, the resident rep should also be involved, because this is a new day for Benton Harbor.
Thank you, Commissioner Henry. I appreciate your seniorship, being a commissioner.
They ain't gonna do it, huh?
One more thing,
You can't do it.
Oh, Commissioner
as
Allen.
thank you, sir. As we approach the new year, just something to keep in mind. Can we look at something, because I couldn't believe that this is some type of technology that doesn't even allow a conference call. If we could update technology, it should have been updated when all the phones and stuff that was purchased for the residents to have a working mic if they want to take it
That's
out
right.
and walk with it or whatever. But it should be on a wire, just like the rest of these.
So for the communication.
Communication Committee.
Oh, okay, yeah.
City manager, can you speak on that? City manager.
Ah, you got it. It's not gonna work. She's frustrated. Look,
Don't get
it's
frustrated.
not gonna work, but we do need to keep the people informed.
Okay, that's right.
But we don't have the argument to that.
Oh, Commissioner Edwards.
Yes, just one question on those, I know, during the transition, so do I get in that process? Cause I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, get it.
You have to give me that. We'll get it.
You're gonna be making a
You get,
decision.
yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I got a question.
Mr. Harvey, how you doing?
I'm good, how you doing?
Good.
Do you have a packet with the RFP or job qualifications of what y'all looking for in the top two?
We
Or
don't
do
have it
you have,
with us, but we do have, it, yeah.
do you have a process?
The
Cause
process.
I heard Monday, everybody talking about processes.
Yeah,
A couple
we just
commissioners was talking
presented,
about it's a process that y'all wanna follow.
we just presented. the process.
You just presented the process.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Well, we,
In answer to his question, though, he said, did you have a process?
yes, we have the process, yes.
Look.
And the process got emailed.
I was
to
here
our
at the
commission.
meeting the other night, and the motion was on the floor, and I heard a whole lot of people talking about this follow process.
Mhm.
I was saying, where is that, do you have a printout of that particular process that they were speaking of?
No, I do not have it with me.
We follow the same
What's
one
the
y'all
process
had,
in place? It is.
But
So,
the process was in place, is what he's saying.
ex-commissioners.
well, let me say this, I'm gonna respond to her, she said, she followed the same one we had.
Point of order.
That's, no,
Hey.
I'm speaking to the
Okay,
chair,
okay.
speaking to the chair.
Okay, okay.
First of all, when I was on there, the majority would have ruled, and he would have been hired. So that ain't the process, because y'all didn't follow that. And then you all voted to table it, and you're supposed to be the majority. That wouldn't happen. He would have been brought in because the majority ruled. If I was up there. Now that's that. And the process other commissioners was making, it should have been the majority rule. Because in the minority, you might say a whole lot of stuff. When you're in the minority, now you can stop everything. Now you want to make processes. But you didn't have a process Monday. That's what I was looking to read from.
We did have a process Monday. We just didn't present it. The person in finance had a process. We was
So your
in the
process,
we was in the
Right.
process, yeah.
so your process is hire all the commissioners, pick two.
Right.
Based off what?
Based on each commission picks two off the candidates that we
Oh,
have.
that's what I want, that's what I'm looking
The
for.
RFP.
So that's based off the RFP as far as qualifications, that's what I'm about.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a job description, all that's on RFP, so where is that at? Okay, so it's online, okay, that's cool. Yeah, we
Same one y'all have.
We shaking, no, we shaking, make it happen. Y'all-
We shake and make it happen too, and we really
So
do.
you gonna help-
Point
Hey,
of
one
order,
order,
point of
one order.
order.
Now, it's a holiday, come on now.
Yeah, I know
Hey,
y'all did.
Jesus Christ is
Point
born.
of
One
order.
order, one order, one order. Come on, let's, y'all got this.
New day, please, please. new
Meet
day.
adjourned.
Put all you did on the table.
Did you get
No,
everything?
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Oh,
wait a minute.
Thank you, man, one more time.
Y'all did.
I'm sorry.
Show me.
We got some,
The project still standing.
one order.
Did they do you?
Mr. Singham got something he wanted to.
Go ahead with your pass.
You better stop being hot headed.
Go ahead with your pass.
You must have saw Eddie Marshall do that move.
Oh, you finna explain it?
See,
Well, you just didn't add the whole thing.
There you go.
I'll take it.
Just did it.
Thank you. Ooh. Wait a minute.
Mr. Singham.
We actually don't up to, add, but I guess we could just do it, but just a brief conversation on the trash, collection.
Oh, yes.
Somebody had, asked us to, look into, possibly us doing it ourselves.
There you go.
So we did a little research
Mm-hmm.
and we looked at, we already talked about some trucks. We thought the thing would be up because we could put online, but basically for a couple of $1,000 a month, that somebody can find, cheaper.
Yeah.
There's some nice trucks that you can, if you finance them, you can get for around a couple of $1,000 a month.
Yes.
So if you got two, you're looking at four. This here, what you got in your hand is they sent me this back for containers, the 96-gallon containers, which would have a 12-year warranty on them. Also with the logo, city logo on it. 2,700 of them would cost what you got here. That's a one-time fee in a 12-year warranty. It roughly about $40-some per container, which if you bought those retail, it probably cost you $100-some. I don't know if we need 2,700, but last time I knew we had like 2,500 customers. It's always probably best to get a little extra. Then it was staff to hire probably about 4 to 6 people. I think the going rate for I don't know what the city paid for heavy equipment operator, but that's something that would have to come from personnel staff. But usually it's say if you pay somebody $16 an hour, you might as well add on a couple of more dollars or so an hour, if I'm correct with Galladay. A couple of more dollars an hour for benefits or pension or paying into social security and stuff like that. So that'd be the actual cost of your employee. So that would have to be figured out. But when you look at collection, we collect, if we got those many customers, we collected over a period of a year at the $17 and some cents a customer, you collecting over $400-some thousand a year. Okay, adding up these costs here, with the, truck, if you say $4,000 a month for, 2 trucks, that's $48,000. Okay, add, probably a few more thousand for, insurance and stuff like that, there's some maintenance, but you buying them under this warranty program, you can cut down on some of your maintenance and stuff. You're looking at, collecting, we paying out on an average of $40,000 a month. So if you can do the whole operation for even $25,000 a month, you got a $15,000 a month savings. What's happening is when we do a contractor, the contractor is doing this to make a profit.
Yeah.
We're doing it to cover our costs, and then that profit that we would have been normally paying a contractor will stay with us.
Yeah.
And we're able to probably do some other things, maybe even be able to pick up.
Lower the fee.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
you can do that, or you can, get your equipment paid off quicker, but you're keeping the money here. And you got control of it, don't worry about who got to pick up what, who calling, you calling some other place and they tell you to call the city and they done told the city.
We're
to have
catching
them
it
call us.
anyway, so it just makes sense.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's actually building a better team to work with Public Works to do some other things. If we can hire our own people, give them jobs, it just makes sense to bring it back home, because in the early 2000s, when I first got back here, I saw things unraveling, even with the school when they went to outsourcing stuff, especially bus jobs and everything.
So before,
Yeah.
Appreciate that. I think we can, probably start with that 39,000 down payment. Seriousness, we need to find out what it costs to go to the dump.
I checked that out too.
I think like 800 a week, 900.
You're gonna spend, roughly, it's gonna be a little bit more than that. You're gonna, spend anywhere from, $8,000 to $10,000 a month, depending on.
Then you still gotta calculate in, leaf removal. We'll have to get the leaves up, we'll have to,
They said that was with everything.
that's everything.
That was with everything. Now, we look at doing something else with the leaves, because we talked about finding that contaminated land that's in north for the airport that we have, and if we could dump our leaves there and let them decay there on some already contaminated land, now we got less going to the landfill, which that's some of the out-of-the-box thinking that we talking about.
All right.
Jumping on.
You know, like that, no. No, but honestly, I do concur, I support it. I think that all other municipalities around us, I would ask even the township what they're doing for feasibility, and also St. Joe, what they're doing for feasibility. And also, I don't know how it's gonna work with that contract that we did have, with that $50,000 bond. I mean, maybe, I don't know what we're gonna have to do between that time of transition to the next time we're doing it, but I do concur, because when you have contractors, first 3 letters in that word is con. I think a lot of times we've been conned with a whole lot of other stuff that happens with the process, but you bring it in and you invest, you reinvest the money back into the company until we get to where we need to go as far as management, truck drivers. Then those same drivers in the wintertime, when they get done with the trucks, the trash, they can plow snow. I mean, that's double duty, because a lot of I see over in the township, a lot of those guys only working part-time on the trash truck. So if we can bring it in, it would help the city. And I heard one of my fellow commissioners say this words, lower the rates. You know, cause, I mean, we already paying a strong amount of money for water. I mean, and if we can lower the burden off the residents, with trash amount or trash collection, then you still make money off large items. Then once you, do this little thing where they, cite somebody and then we go out there and pick it up, that all that money comes to the city. You know, so it does make sense. I would love to see somebody, see it done within the next year. But it's gonna take time, and my question becomes to this committee, what are we gonna do in that middle part? Because what's happening, I heard with Cycle we got cycled. They wrote a letter to them saying that basically we sent them a letter saying that it was over. So what are we gonna do from that contract being over to us getting a contractor or us getting our own? Well, how we gonna bridge that gap? Because it needs to happen. But how are we gonna bridge that gap so we don't run into what we ran into when that check came up missing? Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yeah, I know it's RFP out now for trash.
Have you heard anything on it?
Well, I haven't heard nothing on it. I just seen it in the newspaper. I know it's not closed yet.
Chairman,
Have we received anything on that? You know?
It's not closed yet.
Okay. So what is the deadline on that, if you know?
I think it's January 6th.
So the deadline for January 6th. Now, my next question becomes, and this is to the chair, does the former contractor have the right to apply? It ain't open bid form, even though we canceled the contract.
The contract ends in October, I think.
So I thought we wrote them a letter telling them that it was over.
we gave him 30 days. You closed your meeting.
To
This
get-
meeting is closed.
No, it's open. We talking
Oh,
about.
okay. Didn't know.
So did we give them a letter saying that we were shutting that contract down?
No, it was a 30-day notice.
To correct.
Get that stuff together.
Y'all did it and y'all don't
Did they-
remember.
did they-
Correct.
He don't.
Correct.
All right, so did they,
It's over.
so did they get their stuff together then?
30 days up.
I mean, that's the question, did they get, because we still haven't, I haven't got no word on where that money's at.
Chairman, with all due respect, we didn't have it on the agenda to give you information on it. I don't know if they have or not.
Can we get that information, during the next week or two?
You can.
I appreciate that, thank you.
All right.
So much.
Mr. Adams.
Can you send something forward to the full body to let the community know that we're about to take back over our, we're about to bring our stuff back in house? That sounds like a wonderful idea.
We have to finish our planning.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful,
Thank you.
wonderful.
Gail got something?
Yeah.
Gail? Gail got something to say.
I'm sorry, I apologize for being late. I had her personal stuff to take care of. Sorry, I apologize. Over there on Hale Well, the hill, I got stuck probably about a week ago. I had to go back down. So is any way we turn that into a two-way instead of a one-way? Hale Well, going that when you go Hale Well, go up the hill.
You have to come to the person, to the other meeting.
Public safety.
And then I know the dollar I had to go back down to as well. They got stuck. So,
Public safety needs to hear that. So if you can,
Can I ask you not to wait until the meeting? If you got a problem, let me know and see if we can get it resolved.
Okay.
We don't want to do this in a meeting. We want to resolve the
Okay.
problem beforehand. Okay? So give us a call tomorrow. Tell me, leave it with me tonight. Tell me exactly what you're talking about.
Commissioner Henry.
Did I understand this right about this, trash thing? What we gonna do with it? The suggestion and the project? And I just wanna say that I'm definitely for this, and I want it to be as fast as possible. The faster we go, the less we have to worry about what's in between the previous one and our new one. So, did I get an understanding? Please let me get an understanding.
This is a developing, process here, and that's why we start now. We don't wait till, you know, like what happened before that, I think what, September 30th, we seen Reliable picking up their cans, and we didn't know what was gonna happen the next day, so this is what's going on now, so we're getting ready, so when the transition comes, we don't have to go back and start getting ready then. So we still, this is a, you know, that's why the discussion was brought up now to get it going, and the research is going on. So,
Is it going to go to the full body, or is it going to be? I'm talking about now, the next meeting.
What's gonna go to the full body? We still planning, we still getting all the information together.
Yeah.
Might have to have workshop on it.
Yeah, that's good, you know, be discussed in the workshop too. So,
Something to work together on.
yeah, it's gonna be all inclusive.
Well,
But
I
we still,
mean, look, numbers don't lie.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the numbers, and the numbers say, jump on it and get it. It's gonna save the citizens, it's gonna give some jobs.
but what we.
What you wanna do, a feasibility study?
We don't know what
No,
You
you
want
want.
Cornerstone to come and answer our question for us?
And what
What do you need?
No, we can do this ourselves, and that's what we doing. We putting it together.
Yeah,
We, you know,
and it should be like
we
ASAP.
getting work. You know, we doing the work. We got it. And then we come with a final project and say, hey, you know, we come meet. We
Is
talk
there-
about the final
Is
project.
there a
you know.
time frame that you wanna add to it?
We doing it now.
Or just kick it down the road till we get to
It may be
the
you,
right
but
place?
no, we doing this now. We don't.
Right now.
Say the communication.
But what if?
Mr. Swan,
I think we'll be out.
Just elevate.
Okay. You just don't worry.
Ms. Swan.
It's an illusion.
Oh, how you doing?
Good.
I just wanted to ask about, and I think I spoke briefly with you and the city manager about the resolution that was put on the table, or brought to you all, or you all passed the resolution to partner with higher staffing and recruiting services, my staffing company, a local staffing company, minority staffing company here in the city of Benton Harbor. So I want to know, do you guys have that resolution?
I think back in
Back in
March,
March.
then we voted on hiring, partnering with higher
Right.
staffing. to do
Right.
Some employment, but I don't know what with the new partnering with higher staffing, but that's before your time. So, you know, maybe you have to revisit that.
But it's a resolution.
It's a resolution, after we voted, yeah, we
No,
voted.
Yeah, you voted on it.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Can I update, if I may, if you don't mind, the city manager, as to the why? It had a lot to do with the jobs that were supposed to be created through the medical marijuana overall thing, and I didn't see a problem with it. We have a minority female that's just started her business with the help of Cornerstone, and this is what she does. And as a matter of fact, I think I've questioned it several times as to why are we paying Aerotech when we have somebody local that can find some locals to hire to do whatever it is we're using Aerotech and the rest of them for. I'm just saying.
If he gonna look in, city manager will look into it.
Professional about what she do, and she, hey. know what
But
she
we know
do.
it's out there though, we did vote.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I know with the previous city manager, you know,
It's just
it didn't
move.
move anywhere, so I just want to make sure that it's there and that it's gonna move.
We'll make sure we get back with you. Clear that up. I wanna thank everybody for coming tonight. Okay, let's keep it.
I just want you to hear me say this again, and I'm gonna say it every week until you figure out we are $1 short and 2 days late. You didn't put marijuana on the recreation. Know that. here, and if we don't put ourselves in position to talk about it, do you realize how many people are starting their own thing? And we've been, how many months?
Why y'all ain't doing those exams?
But you're not putting it on your agenda. Because you here, you know,
My turn?
if that's.
It'll be on the legislative committee, January 2nd, I think. Second.
That's correct.
Thank you, Commissioner Henry, for your honesty. We will not continue to kick this down the road. You hear it from me.
We'll put it on the agenda for next week.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
You put it on the agenda for next week, cause what is yours? Economic development.
All of them go ahead.
For real, say, you put it on now.
You gonna be on Christmas, Henry? She gonna be on Christmas?
You know, money. Money, and I don't care who-
Hi, Miguel. How are you? Me? I'm your president. I'm here. How are you? We're not doing that break.
Oh, he's full of, he's so full of him. You full of, you know, you ain't having no meeting next week.
Oh, okay. I had one yesterday too.